try to keep it short. Street commissioner was giving me a hard time, and rightly so. This is our annual newsletter that we provide to our investors, and of course the city of Newcastle is an investor, but we're a public-private partnership, so this is primarily used to raise private funds. I won't go through every article, but it does provide a highlight of activity over the last year, and also a kind of a hint of where we're going in the future. I specifically want to talk about entrepreneurship, and we're not doing that alone. We have several partners, specifically and especially Newcastle Main Street. You can see popped the picture there. It looks like Scott Frost is floating away. But that's a wonderful example of a public-private partnership between Rose City Partners, buying the building and renovating it, and then Main Street managing it and renting it out to entrepreneurs. If you turn the page and you pull out, so I'm going to, next to the Your EDC by the Numbers is an article about Make My Move. I want to give you an update on Make My Move. By way of reminder, Make My Move is a city-county collaboration with EDC providing project management services. We also received a grant from the state of Indiana through the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. It is an equal partnership between the city and the county, with the state coming in and buying it down. We're contracted to attract 20 people from out of state to move to Henry County. Where they move in Henry County is up to them, but to qualify for the incentive, they have to move to the county. Make My Move's primary marketing target is remote workers. However, if an employer here in the county, and that includes the city of Newcastle, because the city of Newcastle employs people and hires people, they can offer an individual, as long as they're coming from out of state, they could get the same package. All we need to know is the name of the person before they apply on the Make My Move website. So for example, the police or fire or EMS, or pick the department here at the city. If somebody's taking employment with the city of Newcastle, but they're coming from out of state and they move to the county, and you want to offer the incentive, and the incentive, by the way, is $5,000, $2,500 up front, $2,500 12 months later, and then a variety of soft incentives. It would please me to have those 20 seats filled with people coming to work at the city of Newcastle, at Newcastle Community Schools, at Draper, at Crown, pick your favorite employer. So I'm kind of spreading that word and repeating myself. The only hard and fast requirement is you got to come from out of state, you got to move to the county, the city's in the county.
Amen.
Okay, all right, thank you.
One-time offer.
One-time offer. And if they're not a remote worker, then we need the name up front. Because the application system, the artificial intelligence running Make My Move's application system, if they say they're not a remote worker, they automatically get kicked out. But if we know it ahead of time, we can trick the droids and let them through.
So you're getting the city permission to use that as part of your
Absolutely. I want all employers to use that as a recruitment tool, and if you need information, department head, if you need information, give me a call, send me an email. If you haven't watched the video, it's on the link there in the newsletter. It's 3 minutes. I want to publicly thank Aaron Dickin for engaging potential movers in a very personal and authentic way. Most of the engagement and project management comes from Penny in our office. But Aaron has stepped up and posted some videos on the Make My Move page, interacted with people, and so I appreciate that.
May I interject?
Sure.
I was at a meeting last week with Corey and Penny and Shelley and some county folks and people from the Make My Move organization, and they were just super impressed with the work that Corey and Penny and Shelley had done, and also with Aaron, because he's, I think, in the Champions group or whatever they call it. They were I think they liked us a lot. So.
Thank you for mentioning that. Let me give you some stats real quick, and I'm flipping here. I know the street commissioner's looking at me, he's probably frowning. So you're never ever gonna give me a hard time again, because I'll give it right back. You do, and that's okay. That's all right. All right. So through the end of January, unique views on our page, 8,031. This is not in the newsletter. I'm pulling this from a different, 8,031 unique views. In January alone, it was 2,200. So 2,200 people visited our page on Make My Move. Applications in January were 211. Pre-qualified were 16. What's pre-qualified mean? Pre-qualified means that they have to supply documentation to prove that they say, you know, they put a name, they have to provide documentation that they have employment. We also run background checks too through the Make My Move. 4 offers were made, 1 signed offer. So this is truly a numbers game in terms of getting to the 20. We believe we're going to have our first mover in the next 2 weeks. It is a boomerang, somebody who grew up here, moved away, has family here, has come back. So if you've got grandkids or kids that live out of state and you want them to come back, they can take advantage of this program. Cobblestone Hotel. We are in the very public phase of playing matchmaker between Cobblestone and potential investors. They don't have to be local, but it's a franchise model. So Cobblestone has about 160 locations in 28 different states. Their business model is to have a franchise organization, so somebody to buy the franchise, local ownership. And so we are putting the word out that if you're interested in potentially making that investment, we have an independent feasibility study and an independent pro forma. And this is where I say no bank guarantee, not FDIC insured, right? But this hotel is thriving in much smaller places because this is the type of market that they specialize in. A few of us went on a tour organized by Main Street. We went to the location in Brookville. We had the majority owner there, the majority investor, and I immediately asked him, oh, you need to know this. They were building in 2020. He opened in October of 2020. Okay, so there's the context, right? I immediately asked him, based on what you know now and what you've been through, would you do this again, and would you do it with Cobblestone? Without hesitation, he said yes.
So he's coming to Newcastle.
Well, I asked him to be an investor, and he said he would consider. It'd be a minority investor. So we're out there. 2 things that we're going to do very quickly. One of them would, and this is not the first time I've mentioned it to you, I'm just reminding you, one of them would involve you. We're going to put together an incentive estimate. We have not done that yet. So the pro forma out there doesn't have any incentives applied. And so those incentives would look like either a very aggressive tax abatement and or a TIF incentive. And let me just for the benefit of the viewing public, The Conrad in downtown Indianapolis received a lot of incentives. The JW Marriott in downtown Indianapolis received a lot of incentives. The Hoagie Carmichael in Carmel is part owned by the city of Carmel. I'm not suggesting the city become an equity owner. All I'm saying is it's very commonplace to provide incentives for hotels in other places. And so just, and we're also going to get more serious about location. We don't really have any firm no's yet from investors. We've got a lot of, we'll think about it. So a firm location and some kind of an incentive estimate. That's the next step on the cobblestone. The transload facility at the former Firestone, so inside the fence, that lease has been signed. That's been signed by the Newcastle Southern Railroad, LLC. He has moved his headquarters here. He bought an adjacent office building or small commercial building on D. I don't know what direction.
North.
Thank you.
Not the one that could be. Are they gonna be doing anything with the tracks there, or they gonna
Yes.
have an off-track then?
Yeah.
What are they gonna do about New Lisbon where it's paved over the road? Road's paved over.
I talked to the owner of Newcastle Southern Railroad, and he said he gave the county permission to do that because it's not that hard to dig it up when they need it.
Well, I think there's a trestle out over Flat Rock out there that's caved in, so that would take a lot of money to fix a trestle.
So he owns from where? Connersville to
I think it's just north of Connersville. I think it's actually Beeson.
how far north of Newcastle? Through Newcastle?
I think it stops at Newcastle,
Oh, it stops like that.
Where-
25th Street.
where the connection is with Norfolk Southern.
That's interesting.
It's actually a Norfolk Southern line. He leases it.
So Bell will still own from 25th Street on.
No. No, so Bell's company was leasing that from Norfolk Southern. It's now Newcastle Southern Railroad,
All the way through town?
all the way through town.
Did you get anything in writing to get his crossings fixed there?
He is aware of the work that needs to be done.
Thanks.
And if you would like to have a conversation.
I'd love to.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd
All right.
love to.
I'll,
Bring him up.
I'll do.
Bring him up any day, anytime. I'll be here.
we'll go to coffee and have some donuts.
I'll,
Hey, Mark and Mike would probably be too
yeah,
good.
if he wants to talk, we're willing to listen, so.
Mark and Mike.
Anytime. Anytime.
Sounds like a morning radio show.
Now, me playing matchmaker doesn't count towards my time, okay?
That'd be you, Lee.
I'm just sitting there.
It would be nice,
Yes.
since he's new.
We will.
Look how red his face is turned.
I could go on. Questions?
As always, Corey, really appreciate it.
So I didn't talk about tourism and I didn't talk about the airport.
Well, all
but if
the
you have
effort that
questions-
you put in the city and the county, it's very well appreciated.
A lot of activity on the Shell building.
Just real quick, airport. I'd like to know.
What would you, I mean,
Just
I'm not,
quick. The apron's been done, right?
apron's done. There may be some, let's call it 95% done. We haven't paid them completely, but we're not withholding it. We're waiting on them to get their paperwork to us. The AWAS is live. It was in test mode, even though the pilots tell me that they could still get the information they needed when it was in test mode. The FAA finally came out and signed off. We purchased some technology that will be installed soon that allows us to count the takeoffs and the landings, in addition to supplementing our logbook. Sometimes people don't like to sign the logbook. So if the aircraft has pretty standard technology, then what we've installed will pick it up, and that will help justify to the state and to the FAA the usage at our airport. We switched our consultant, a longtime consultant, predates my service on the airport board, which is about 8 years now, was Wolpert. We parted ways with Wolpert. We went through a RFP process, and we hired a firm called CHA. And so CHA is now our consultant that helps us navigate the federal aviation grant programs and NDOT aviation grant programs. There is a significant number of Henry County people employed at CHA, so that's a nice connection. If I start naming them, I will forget one of them, so I'm not going to. So we appreciate the city's support of the airport, and as you may know, we're operating solely as a department or a board of aviation under the city of Newcastle. The FAA has yet to bless our transfer of ownership from a city county to a city. That has nothing to do with the city. FAA is, she who writes the checks gets to make the rules, and they can move as fast or as slow as they want. But from a practical level, we're functioning as a city airport. And I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you your other board members are Don Cummings, Keith Pritchett, Paul Jansen, and Tom Green. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the update.
Anybody else from the public that would like to comment or question? Okay, seeing no one, we'll move on to committee and council reports. Mr. Duffy.
Yes, Councilman Walden and myself got to meet with Grady, and I appreciate Mark and Tom at Grady for taking time to meet with us about getting some signs and maybe helping out on this truck route. Just to make it short, we are going to meet with the mayor and Lee and the traffic committee, and then we'll come back to council and give you a report. But it was very positive from Grady, very positive. That's all I have.
Thanks, Mike.
It's kind of nice to walk into a meeting and see one of your former students as the plant manager.
It's
so.
always good. Mr. Hancock, Mr. Hancock.
The only thing I got, Lee, I want to say thank you and your employees and all that. Potholes have been really bad. I get a few phone calls before I go out and check them. You already took care of them, so great job. That's all, Your Honor.
Mr. Walden?
Let your employees know, too.
Got a few things. Rex, is it maybe time to take a look at a comprehensive city plan again and see what we've been able to accomplish through it, and maybe update a little bit?
Yes, that would be a good thing. I hope by next meeting, give you an update, because Mr. Murphy sent me an email today about some, and one of them is the group that did our comp plan. But the thing we probably need more than an updated comp plan is an updated zoning and ordinance. And so he
Wasn't
gave.
that part of the comprehensive?
Well,
plan?
one of the things we need to do
Yeah.
to check some boxes. And so he gave me a couple of names on companies that do that, and we'll kind of move along and just see what that's going to cost, and see if I can get them maybe to come and do a presentation or something. But yeah, I mean, we certainly can look at that. But I think the first step may be getting the zoning and ordinance squared away, because that's something that I think is, important to us.
Mr. Mayor, I think that's something you wanted to work on too anyway, so.
Yeah, that's, a lot of it's stimulated through what Greg has said.
Dave, there's been a lot of work there on North 16th Street on the south end. When's the start date on that? Do you?
On the south section,
Yes.
they actually called me and wanted to know if they could start the 1st of March. But we have lichens doing our storm and sewer separation, and we've got a little bit of work to do on 18th. And I got a phone call today, they're gonna try to move in there on the 20th on 18th Street, because I wanna get that, since that's the unofficial detour. When they work on 16th, they'll have it blocked, I wanna make sure that 18th Street work's done first. So we're looking at somewhere between the first and second or third week in March, that White Construction will be back on
So it's the same company?
the same company.
Okay.
Yeah, they just broke it up so they could get it open back up for the winter.
Are there any planned public meetings for that section?
Not that I'm aware of.
I know they were real good about informing people as they were going through that.
Right,
down there.
right.
I was really impressed with that part of it, so.
No, they wanted, I'm glad you brought it up, because they wanted me to address it for emergency services and for the public to kind of gear up March. We don't have a date yet. They'd like to roll in there March 1st, depending on the weather, but we may have to move them back a week or two.
And just to let you know, those residents within that section are probably the ones who most consistently contacted me with questions, because they're wanting, that alley, you can't get through all the way now because of the one crossings. So they were concerned about their in and outs and all that, just to make you aware,
Okay.
okay, so. And the third thing, I passed out an information chart to everyone. This is a bill that's running through the State House. It's been proposed. It's on the property tax revenue. I know how much cities and towns struggle the way it is. And if you look at that 4-year projection, cities and towns are going to lose over $246 million. I don't know how much that would affect us, but it's going to affect us. Don't know what the price on that would be. School corporation is going to lose over $364 million. Man, how big of an effect would that have?
That's why I'm right here, actually.
When I went through my administrative training at Ball State, taxes was a foundation revenue that you could count on. I mean, you knew that money was going to be there. You could budget things out. Things, equipment, buildings, property, teacher's salary, all that stuff. So this is going to hinder not only us, but our school corporation here in town. I don't know if they're going to try to go through and say, okay, we'll come up with a budget for city and towns every year now. And these are the monies that's going to be available for you. That scares me. I don't know how Greg York, sitting as mayor of Newcastle, now Brenda Kreider, as the money person for the city of Newcastle, can make plans for us to sign off on. That concerns me. So what I'm asking that everyone contact our representatives and let them know our concerns. Are we going to have to cut down on some of our services? Are we going to have to cut down on some of our departments? We don't have room to do that anymore. The least struggling the way it is now. So I'm really concerned about this. Not saying that it's going to happen. It's just being planned through right now. And Greg, I'd probably be going more bald-headed and gray-headed
Thanks a lot.
worrying about this. Hey, brother, I'm close. Boys call these dads lagoons, so. But I think we really need to take a close look at this and track it and be concerned and let our representatives know of our concerns.
Well, if the trends from what the legislature has done in the past prove true, whether this happens this year or next year, it's going to happen.
Well,
Because that's what they do.
that's what happens when you have a supermajority,
Yeah. That's what they do.
Greg, so. I've just, and with the TIF, Corey, I don't know how big of an impact that would have. With our library, our county library, that's taking money away. And we can't afford to have money taken away. We just cannot afford it. It's that simple.
Just increase user fees, that's all they want the cities and towns to do anyway, so. I mean, they
So
force.
they can say they haven't raised taxes, and they've cut
The
taxes.
state's done it to us
and
for
It's just a shell game.
9 years plus now,
So
so.
Senate Bill 1001.
That's the one Jerry's talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just wanted to bring that up. I'm not doing it, do it as a discussion.
Oh,
It's
good.
just a big concern of mine, not only for us as a city and the other towns in our county and our school corporation. That just makes me sick.
Well, every year our budgets get cut and cut,
Yeah.
and when we're millions of dollars every year getting cut, I mean,
And they
people
wonder
wonder why we
can't
have
teach-
deficits, people wonder why we owe people money. Well, the state gives us a little more money, maybe we don't owe somebody $4 million, $5 million, $6 million. I mean, it's not mismanaged, it's just no revenue coming in. So, it doesn't take rocket science to figure it out, it's in black and white, it's on paper, so.
So thanks for the time on that.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Really appreciate
Mr.
that.
Dickin? Oh, before we get started, Mr. Dickin, I want to thank you for all you've done here and here.
We'll see.
Well, yeah, it might all blow up.
Yeah, it's not through yet.
It worked earlier.
We're getting there.
Go ahead.
To Councilman Walden's Inn, I'd just like to thank the state legislature for addressing the overrun furries issues in our schools and officially naming our state the Hoosier State. And shame on all of you for not paving my roads and giving me more bus routes. That's all I have to say.
Okay, Mr. Coger?
I don't have anything.
Another thing I've got, I just wanted to recognize, since I'm not coaching anymore, I can blow the horn of the wrestling team, but they had 4 kids that won regional Saturday and will advance to semi-state, and they did a really good job. And there's a pretty good chance those 4, along with the 2 others that advanced that were not regional champions, will maybe go on to state. I know our swimming team may miss somebody, but I know our swimming team had several people do well in the sectional. Just a lot of good stuff happening in our school and our city. Just proud to be a Newcastleite. So, turn it over to you, Mayor.
Chief, you have anything, Steve? I do not. Chief? Chief?
Yes, sir.
Mike? Dan? Dave?
No, sir.
Council?
Nothing.
Brenda? Kendra? Doug? Bree?
We're working on lane break as we speak.
Where's that?
Legion, about 200 feet west of Glasgow.
Okay. Right, Lee? The only one thing that I do want to bring up is Lee brought up this morning, because of the primary, no inner Democrat or Republican races, there will not be a primary in Newcastle this year. So we already have that slated, that the city employees have the 2nd off. I got with the, I haven't talked to Special Services, but I talked to ASME today and asked them, we do have trash pickup on Tuesday. So if they would work Tuesday, we would possibly give them the 26th off, which would make Memorial Day a 4-day weekend. So if they want to trade Tuesday for that Friday, it'd give them Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday off. Haven't heard from them yet, but I just wanted to run it by you guys, that you would know what they're talking about if that happens. So
Sounds good.
giving them the opportunity to work that day and have a long weekend. So I don't know what's going to happen with that yet, but we'll find out. That's all I have.
Okay, that brings us over to our resolutions. We have none scheduled. That brings us to ordinances. We have 2nd reading and public hearing on ordinance 3901, vacating right-of-way. Mr. Harvey, I'll turn that over to you.
Sure, I will call to order the public hearing on ordinance number 3901, which is an ordinance vacating an area that's described as that portion of the platted alley between parcel number, it has a parcel number, which is 517 North 11th Street on the north, and 1024 New York Avenue, and 1018 New York Avenue on the south. The ordinance has been prepared, there's a map that depicts that area. I don't know if
I can get it up there. If somebody wants to turn that on, I'll throw it out there.
if somebody put that on the table, they want to come up and speak about it.
Here, would you set that up on that?
I got it.
Table up there.
Now what do I get?
Man, you.
Right now, you are surpassing my expectations.
Don't do anything else.
Yeah.
Somebody take this. I'm at 1,000.
Hey, I taped over the other buttons. I take
There's the map. Okay, so now the map has been posted. If anyone would like to come up and address the council regarding the proposed vacation, the floor is open.
Please.
If you could please state your name and address as well.
My name's Em Arnold, husband Gary Arnold. We live at 1018 and New York Avenue. And we were led to believe that the alley would be vacated just in back of 1024. But I see that it goes on to the middle of our property.
I see what you're saying.
And so we would strongly disagree with it, the alley that abuts our property would not have.
You live here, right?
Right. Right. The 1024 is like a half a lot. The vacant lot that they're getting is a double lot. So that part, yes. So that part goes, and our garage is right there on the alley. And, you know, we have to power wash it and paint it and stuff like that. We would lose that.
They couldn't deny access, could they, Joel?
Typically, when you vacate, it splits the property to the adjoining owners.
So this section here would be split. Yeah. This person would get half of the alleyway, this person would get the other half.
We couldn't drive a vehicle?
Yeah, I mean, no, you couldn't drive a vehicle
No,
down.
I mean, like a truck or something that we, you know, just stand on to paint or whatever, so.
So you thought that it was going to stop right here, this
Correct.
property line?
Yes,
You thought this was going to be vacated?
right. We just found out about this Friday evening, so this is pretty new. to-
My name is Gary Arnold, I'm with this down there, this is the boss. But she makes a good point. How are we gonna access maintenance of that building?
Do you drive a vehicle back there? Do you park in the garage?
No.
The
They-
garage is on the other side.
I got you,
Now,
okay,
these other
okay.
houses that are, will be down, they, there's a garage there right next where you have to drive in the alley to get in that garage on the north side. That would be right where they shut it off. And the people that, there's 2 lots west of that, then there's a house that's been vacant. Yeah. They come in there all the time and park where that garage is and when they have people over. And
Is it currently paved? Is it currently
Yeah,
paved?
It's
yes,
in good shape.
Yeah.
paved very well.
That alley is in good shape and well maintained.
Yeah.
And that bothers me also. What happens when we lose control of that? Does that
Right.
drop back on us to maintain that?
Well, that's, I mean, I hate to sound ignorant, but, I mean,
Still remain an alley.
when we vacate an alley,
It becomes a problem.
Yeah, you can vacate.
so they're gonna split, like Harvey said, you're gonna split it down the middle. They're not gonna rip up the asphalt.
That'll be up to them.
Well,
They could.
I mean, I guess, well, but the people over on this side are only gonna be able to tear up half of it.
But like I say, we couldn't drive a truck back
Yeah,
there.
right.
And there's a lot, and that,
I mean, it sounds like if they didn't rip up the asphalt, you could drive whatever you wanted unless you got caught.
What do the neighbors say?
Yeah, right.
Why is that part of this vehicle?
Yeah, right, no,
the front of that garage, it's a 3-car garage.
That's a big
The
garage.
front of it is not very tall, but there's a pretty steep hill going down to the alley.
Mhm.
So in order to, You know, sometimes we drive a truck and stand in the truck and do stuff.
So the
And so we would be able
doors to the right.
So this is a through alley all the way through?
Yes,
It's paved all the way through?
yes. And Greg said, we talked about fire engines and the ready-mix trucks and stuff like that. He didn't think it was that big, but regularly, I mean, when they redid their backyard, they had a concrete truck, ready-mix concrete truck. Then they have to back out. They can't go in and all that.
Maybe I just missed the question. Because I was going to ask, is it going to hurt you in some way if that top part that's not by your property is vacated?
Just from here up.
Is that going to hurt you?
We wouldn't object.
Well, I'd like to, so I'd
I mean,
like.
I think it's better to have a through alley, but we wouldn't
Right,
object
'cause-
to that. But the main thing we're objecting to is that it's
Losing access.
an extra arm.
I'd like to hear from, the people that, on that other property that are here, because maybe it can be resolved.
I think they're here.
Yeah, so maybe we'll get them, ask them to come up, so, and then you guys can, we'll get back with you. You're welcome to comment again. Would you guys like to come up, please? Or one of you or both of you? I guess my question for you. I guess my question for you is, would you be upset if we said we're not going to vacate that second half of where those,
Not at all.
it just seemed to me like you
Yes,
probably
when we
wouldn't
started
be.
the ball, and I want to apologize to my neighbors who I love dearly, because if there was miscommunications, because I didn't have enough information before I communicated anything with you, and my understanding was the splitting it in half. So we didn't get a chance to have a conversation from the time that I proposed this in November, and then I didn't hear anything at all until you got the letter. We just got back from vacation and got the letter as well. So I'm so sorry for not talking with you in detail, because I didn't have enough information to even know what people were talking about. But it was my understanding that the portion behind us would be divided in half between us. So I didn't think anything of having a conversation. So I apologize for that. But all our goal is to be
Have some
able to
access.
parcel our two plots together so that we can actually build a garage. Because at this point in time, as you all know, our lot is not large enough to build a garage. So to parcel that section to our lot so that we can build a garage and have access to that as well. It's not our goal at all to block any other residents in our community from that. That being said, the only other problematic thing that we are experiencing, and you may not notice this as well, but there are a lot of children who are playing in that alleyway. And currently, until we can move forward on that lot, there's a vacant, empty basement that was not properly filled in by previous owners. And so my happiness of having that and being able to say this is a private property is only to keep children safe. Because right now, if you've all driven by, which many of you have, because you've had to check it out, you'll see I have Christmas lights in a circle in that lot, and you all know this spot very well, and you know my concerns. So another factor of having that is just to be able to say that's private, to keep kids from playing, because they're, just yesterday I had to say, hey, this isn't safe, this is private property, you can't play and throw your football, because I'm concerned. So until we can make it safe for our neighbors, that's
So
another
where do you
factor.
plan on building your garage on there?
So you live here,
We do,
you own this,
yep,
and you own this.
yeah.
No.
You would be okay?
No.
Yeah,
It's
this-
that one and
We-
then that way.
This one? This one?
Yes.
We own all four of that quadrant right there.
All-
We-
all
we
four
were
of
going
these?
to be really honest,
No.
yes.
You
Yes.
own-
Okay, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
yes, you're good.
Okay. So you own all four of these?
Yes.
But you would be okay if it was vacated from here to here?
Absolutely, yes. We just
Okay.
want to be able to parcel that together. And to answer your question, Jerry, this is phase one, is getting this done before we can even move forward with building plans or thoughts, because you don't put the cart before the horse.
Right, but do you know
in
where
that.
you'd like to put the garage on?
Ideally
Not yet.
speaking, it would depend on what our access is granted. Does that make sense? I mean, it would
Oh,
be
sure,
nice to be
sure.
able to have a garden and have the ability to have an area,
So we need to
but
amend
however
that.
we need to access that. we
So I
can.
think we've got an amicable resolution, and when we close the meeting, then we'll make some motions to get that done. So,
Again, I apologize.
So-
I didn't have enough information
If
to
you've-
really even have a conversation.
if you've told us all you think we need to know, then you can sit down and Mr. Harvey will close the meeting and we'll.
But she is the boss.
Clock ticker over here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to be heard regarding ordinance 3901? If not, we will close the public hearing.
Okay, and then I'll move to amend this. I'm not sure exactly what the legal description of that second half of that is, but we'll amend that to exclude the, that would be what direction?
1018,
Well,
1018 New York.
Yeah, 1018 New York Avenue, the alley
Yeah.
behind. We'll make a motion.
11th to their property line.
That's what we're gonna leave in. We're gonna
To their
exclude,
property line.
we're gonna exclude the second portion there. Okay?
I'll second that
Okay, it's
motion.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote.
Mike Guffey.
Aye.
Jeff Hancock. Jerry Walden.
Aye.
Aaron Dickens.
Aye.
Mark Covert.
Aye.
Rex Steckenball.
Aye. Okay, so that passes, then we'll have a third reading next meeting, and we'll have it all in the books.
And I'll distribute an amended
Right, we'll
version,
get a
the new
different
map
book.
and all that.
Yeah. So if there's any problem, it can be addressed.
Yep.
All right, well, that was the last ordinances, and so if I hear a motion to adjourn, that's what we'll do.
So moved.
Okay, adjourn.
Meeting adjourned.